Trump's economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, went on Fox Business, and he lied his ass off.
Let me just make this generic point, okay? We've said this, my pal Kevin Hassett, who's now running CEA. Look, the war against business is over. The war against success is over. The war against energy is over. The president has an attitude, take a swing at the ball, take risk. That's what makes America great. And that attitude has translated, as you know, into huge increases in the confidence indexes.
For sure.
Consumers, small businesses, large businesses.
There is a narrative, Larry, going out there that in 2 years things slow down quite a bit because of demographics, because of higher interest rates. Robert Kaplan from the Dallas Federal Reserve said that he's looking for growth in the end of 19, of 1.75%. What do you say to those people who are looking for possibly a recession in 2020?
Yes, well, look, I don't want to comment specifically on Mr. Kaplan or anybody else for that matter. All I'll say is they've been saying that all along, okay? We could never get to 3% growth. My friends, good friends on the Democratic side, he's come on my show, they're personal friends of mine.
Right.
It couldn't be done, they say. It's being done. It's probably coming on faster. And it's throwing off enormous amount of new tax revenues. As the economy gears up, more people working, better jobs and careers, those revenues come rolling in, and the deficit, which was one of the other criticisms, is coming down, and it's coming down rapidly.
That's complete and utter horseshit. That's not even close to true. The deficit has increased $200 billion since the passage of their tax cut bill. $200 billion. Over 10 years, it's expected to go up about $1.2 trillion. An increase in the deficit of over $1 trillion. So when he says, it's where the deficit's going down, that's just not true. That's nowhere close to true. That he's lying. He just made that up. He made that up to try to do cheerleading for Donald Trump in this administration. He doesn't care that it's not accurate. So these guys are shameless, man. I mean, this is something, as I was watching this clip, I was fact-checking it as I was going along, and I was like, they really are just completely shameless. In some ways, they're the ultimate postmodernists. They, make up their own truth and then just run with it. Nope, I've declared it true that the deficit is going down, so therefore it is true. It's our truth. But the numbers show the opposite. But it doesn't matter. It's our truth. What the fuck? So a lot that he said there was laughable. Maria Bartiromo points out, and I love how she points it out and scoffs at it at the same time. She's like, some people say a recession is coming. And his response, Larry Kudlow's response is, well, they've been saying that all along. Here's why that's hilarious. That's nothing but projection. Larry Kudlow was the guy who, in the years 2005, 6, and 7, you couldn't get his face off TV on CNBC. When he was saying over and over, the market's very healthy, we're in a great place, there is going to be no recession, there is going to be no slowdown, the housing market is totally fine. He was one of the people who was saying, oh, this is nonsense, people are saying there's going to be a recession. Utter nonsense. And then what happened? In 2008, we had the subprime mortgage crisis, and not just a recession, we had the Great Recession. So he said all along that we wouldn't have a recession. We had a great recession. He acts like he never had a horrible track record of opinions when his track record is one of the worst out there. And then now look at him. He says, the naysayers have been saying there's a recession. They've been saying that all along. Well, the naysayers are actually looking at the data and are not idiots, and they can tell we're in a bubble. We're in a bubble right now. That's not that hard to tell, guy. How do you not know that? How do you not see that? This is clearly a gigantic bubble, and it will pop at some point. So he doesn't know anything, even though he's a top economic advisor, which is fucking scary. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was he says, the war against business is over. The war against success is over. All right, so the war against business thing, dude, Barack Obama, like him or dislike him, there was a net job creation of what, over 12 million private sector jobs in his time in office. I mean, how is that a war against business? That's the opposite. Now, Obama failed in many respects with the economy, and I've pointed at that endlessly. Like, the income inequality continued to rise under him. Higher paying jobs were replaced with lower paying jobs. So I'm not just an Obama cheerleader on this front, but to make the claim that there was a war against business is comical, because he created over 12 million private sector jobs. So I'm telling you, all they think about are those little like buzzword scandals. Like, remember when Obama was talking about business and he said, "You didn't build that." Now, of course, in context, the clip was talking about how, well, listen, there's a road that takes you to your store. There are water pipes that you need that you use at your store. And it took a village to build the infrastructure that allows you to have your own business within that infrastructure, and you didn't build that infrastructure. That was really what he was saying. They took it out of context and made it seem like he said you didn't build that, meaning your own business. And Larry Kudlow is the kind of guy who he hears those buzzword bullshit stories like that, and to him that's like, oh, see, there's a war against business, because he's an idiot. And to me, I think that's what he's referring to when he talks about the war against business, which is hilarious. And then finally, this shows you a lot about how these guys think. He said there's a war against success. There was a war against success, and now we've stopped the war against success. Larry, what on earth does that mean? Now, all I could think of is, under George W. Bush, the top tax rate, the top marginal tax rate, I should say, was either 35 or 36%. Obama kicked that up to 39%. So you're going to say there's a, quote, war against success over a 3 or 4% marginal income tax increase? These guys are the biggest snowflakes on the planet, man. That's what that is. That's nothing but snowflakeism, because it's not true. It's hilarious to think that that's like disincentivizing anybody from doing their job or whatever. But he has nothing of substance to say. So all he can do is lie and say goofy things like the war against business is over, the war against success is over. Larry, I think it's time for you to retire, man. You never knew what the fuck you were talking about, and I'm convinced that with you being one of the top economic advisors in the country, the next crash is coming sooner rather than later.